Hello, welcome to another Bone Stories. This is a Bone Stories with Alex. And she kind of agreed to help us out here. So go ahead and say hello.
Hello.
And it's myself, Dr. Matt, and Dr. Brad.
Hello.
So we were kind of looking at all of our patients, and Alex really stood out to, going through a period of crisis care, getting injured, coming back, doing other stuff, then like out of nowhere kind of re-injuring herself, not on purpose, and then it being really an intensive.
Not on purpose? Oh.
Yeah, not on purpose. And really an
I really try
intensive,
not
and then like almost like a mini intensive care phase.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna start by peppering me with a bunch of questions before we go into like how you got here and stuff. But
Okay.
Yeah, the first question we wanted to kind of ask you was, what was your ideas or thoughts about chiropractic before you came to our office? And how has that possibly changed since you've been a patient here now for maybe a year, half a year? More than half a year, definitely. About a year?
Just about a year. I first came end of September, beginning of October last year.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
we're
So
just a
over a
little
year.
over a year.
Yeah.
I've been to 3 other chiropractors,
Okay.
and y'all were recommended to me by another friend. And so I came kind of into my first appointment expecting, honestly, nothing. I was just going to get an adjustment.
Okay.
I was going to get an adjustment.
Just hop on the table.
Yeah, just hop on a table and
no questions.
Yeah.
Literally.
Start flipping those bones around.
And
Yeah.
then I would get adjusted. I might come back in a couple days.
Because that's what you were used to at
Yeah.
previous
Yeah,
office? Okay.
but aside from that, previous chiropractors, a treatment period was a couple weeks, and then
if you're out of pain,
yeah,
just call us
Then you're done.
exactly. And I kind of flopped around, but since coming here, I realized it's so much more of an intensive treatment that if you really want to not have recurring issues, you need more than just, hey, let's come in for a couple weeks and then come back if you have any more pain or feel anything different. That it's much more than what I originally
Much more
anticipated.
involved.
Yes.
Yeah, the correction and eventually the maintenance and all that
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
How did you feel about the exam? Like the report of like, okay, you're gonna come in here, we're gonna figure out exactly what's going on with you. Come back in a day. Let's go over all this stuff and figure out a game plan. How did you feel about that? Do you feel like?
No, I really enjoyed it. Because it wasn't what I was expecting. I was put in an exam room and I was like, what's happening? But being able to just also getting the x-ray, the
Mhm.
grip strength, the posture, like all of those different types of pictures and seeing the progress that the chiropractic care can give you and having that game plan that sets out, okay, you're going to come in a couple days a week to start, and then we're going to re-examine, and then we're going to lower it, and then, kind of getting you to a point where all you need is maintenance. And then if you have, my instance where I got injured
We
again.
pretty much just got you to maintenance, right? Or not long before, and then next thing we
Yes.
know.
I had prepaid for all that maintenance and then re-injured myself, and I was like, well, there it all went. But seeing that game plan and knowing that I'm working towards something, but also feeling better after every single week of it was something I had never experienced with the car. And also, like, the tables, the traction, wobble chair, like, all of those, I've never had anything like that at any other office.
So when we decided to really combine our forces, Wentzville and Cottonville forces, and really go for like, okay, we're gonna have everybody in the same place. How do we really establish to people like, why do you need to continue care even if you're not hurt? We really looked at we were doing this before, but like weren't as vocal about it. The posture and the correction of spinal misalignments, cervical, thoracic, lumbar, all those guys and how they're fit together in the grand scheme of things.
And we added more of the testing. We already had
Yeah.
posture, but we
Right.
added the grip. We added the, what else? We added the stadiometer.
Yeah.
A lot of times for people, we do the height.
What's the lung capacity one?
Oh, spirometry?
Yeah, spirometry.
Digital.
Yeah.
Digital spirometry. Which, I don't know if you've had that yet.
I don't think I've had that one.
That will probably most likely your next maintenance exam. Once
Yeah.
we clear things, we know for sure that you're not,
Not in,
any type
in
of
that
any danger.
pain anymore.
But yeah, that's just really cool. Like the fact you're like, okay, this is not what I expected, but I'm totally down with this. I love
Yeah.
the aspect of just wellness care, like crisis care, but wellness care. And what is, if you could answer it, like with just, what is the feeling that you get when you come in here for an adjustment? Like if you could just answer with just one word. That wasn't on the previous
That
questions.
wasn't.
So like, we're just kind of like feeling things out, but like one word.
One word that when I come in here to,
You come in here, you look to your right, see how busy it is. You look to your left to sign in. You interact with the front desk. You come over, you get adjusted. We ask you a bunch of questions, right?
I don't know,
how do
the word is,
how do you bottle that?
to
Right?
me, the word is excited.
Okay.
I mean, I come in here, every single person knows my name.
Yeah.
Every,
Even if they call you by your full name.
yeah, I mean, everybody, they know my name. If they have seen me in the past, they ask how I'm doing. They will follow up on something that I've talked about previously. It's like the memory. I mean, you guys have tons of patience. It's not just me or the handful of people that I'm here with when I'm here. It's kind of like to me, it's an excited feeling, welcoming,
Okay. Great.
if I had another
Yeah.
word in there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Excited. Welcoming.
Some people
Two
used to
words.
say it was like cheers.
Yes.
They come in,
Yeah, that's
everybody knows
right.
their
Yeah.
name, and even other patients, they get to know the patients.
Yeah.
They'd be like, well, this is just like cheers.
Right.
And then they would hang out for a couple hours too, so that
Yeah.
There are patients that have been here for an adjustment and they see somebody that they know in here and they start talking and it's like, we have to break for lunch.
yeah. Or at nighttime too. right?
Yeah.
Okay, just turn off the lights for us and we'll,
Yeah, lock up, make sure all your notes are down, put the key underneath the mat,
Right.
that kind of thing. What other things are there to ask you? Or is there anything that you want to add?
In terms of, I mean,
Right.
how about we do like, so what initially brought you in? Was there
Okay.
a certain
Yeah.
condition
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you came in with?
I was in a car accident in September of 2023.
Okay.
And I did go to the hospital right after. I had a lot of, blunt trauma. I was bruised all over, face banged up, knee banged up. And I was told then that I had whiplash. So waited a few more days. We're also, half my family lives in Texas. So we were getting ready to go on. This time it was a cruise with them in October. So I needed to try and get in. We had a road trip to drive to Louisiana, so there's 10 hours in the car, and I was just in constant pain.
Okay. So we had a few weeks to get you prepared for that, and then we would have you come back afterwards. and
Yes.
Continue.
Yeah, so I went on Facebook, asked for recommendations, and I had a good friend recommend you guys.
What's that friend's first name?
Christian,
Christian. Okay.
yes.
That's a good name.
It is. She recommended you guys. She said that she saw a doctor. She was out on maternity leave though.
Dr. Amanda.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had called in. She's like, maybe she's back, and then she wasn't. And I had my initial exam, and Dr. Matt has been adjusting me
Mhm.
since. and I've been
Just one of the bro docs.
Providing the care.
As people are referring to us three as now.
But yeah, I mean, I had the initial exam and I didn't anticipate any of it. I came in 2 days later. We looked at x-rays. We looked at the posture charts, you know, kind of evaluated everything and came up with a game plan on, okay, well, you know, it was serious. You know, my head was leaning forward and it needed to be more up. And it started out 3 days a week. Then after 12 weeks, we dropped it to 2 days a week.
Because you had a really, really positive exam,
Yeah.
and it was, your body was responding exactly what we thought would happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you made all your appointments. There was no like, oh, I understand the recommendations, but I'm just gonna do what I want.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so it's like you're like, yes, let's do it, let's go.
Yeah.
I need to get better.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't want
I got a life to live.
right. I didn't want the pain anymore, but
Yeah.
I also wanted to make sure that if I was going to correct it, I'm not going to just come 1 or 2 times and then
Right.
say,
Yeah.
oh, okay, this, you know, I went the 1 or 2 times that other chiropractors had recommended.
wait for it to
now
come
I'm
back.
yeah. Now I'm done. I'll just go back if I need it later. No, I mean, I haven't had any pain in that area since.
Great.
But I also know that if I were to have an issue with it, I could come in and say, hey, can we just take
Get
a
right
look at
back
this?
to it.
Yeah.
And so, everything was great, we got into that, we'll call it the crisis
Mhm.
plan. Things are great, but then what happened?
Yeah. I will say we did the maintenance. We went to the maintenance,
Mm-hmm.
and I did, due to different circumstances, car accident or not car accident, hail damage on the
Yes.
car, and then a car dying and all this kind of stuff. I didn't do maintenance for I think it was 2 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was sitting in bed one night and working, and then I stood up and I couldn't stand up.
Okay, that was it.
And that was it.
Then your body was like, maintenance.
Chiropractic
It's
care.
like, oh, gosh, darn it. So the first thing that, I mean, I was in a lot of pain, couldn't hardly walk, couldn't get out of bed. So my husband took me to urgent care and had urgent care. They said, oh, here's some pills, get an MRI. That's pretty much all we can do for you. And that afternoon, even though it was Labor Day, that afternoon I was squeezed in
Mm-hmm.
and evaluated, had another, initial exam to look through everything. It appeared to be a bulging disc, I believe. And started with a laser treatment. I only needed one, and the next day I felt, 10 times better.
Yeah.
And then started with the decompression. Didn't do full adjustments for a couple days, but did decompression. And then of course, October was up and this was September.
Yeah.
But I was going to Texas again, so we needed to do
Always
some
get you ready for Texas.
do some crisis
Yeah, do some-
management to
Yeah.
make sure that I was ready to get in a car for 12 hours
Yeah.
again. So, and then we've been working on that. Once we got back from Texas, continued working on that, and that's what we've been doing since.
If you could, like, what's the biggest thing that you've learned about your body? Like, I don't want to answer for you, but like, is there anything that we've talked to you about is like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that, but that makes absolute sense.
The biggest thing is how much posture affects everything.
That's right.
I mean, it's not like,
I couldn't have set that up better. Like, no script, no anything, answered out of her own, like, intelligence, like, that's great.
yeah, I mean, it literally affects everything. How your posture, I caught myself, I started reading more at night
Mm-hmm.
instead of sitting there scrolling on my phone.
Sure, wonderful.
Because reading, I can have the book in front of my face, whereas
Yeah.
my phone, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
looking
Yes.
down. I noticed that when I'm, if I sit in bed I make sure that I am either prepped to where I'm at least leaning back but still straight and not hunched over or anything
Mhm.
like that, or I prop myself up to where I am sitting up straight. I change how I sit on the couch. I change how I hold myself when I walk or stand or sit. It's much different, and the pain is. My body thanks me for it.
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and since you do work from home,
I do.
really important, like side thing is to have a good setup for your work area.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's wonderful.
That's great. Yeah, it feels like all the education we try to provide,
Yes.
Like
it's working. You know,
Yes.
sometimes we're like, are people understanding what we're talking about? But then you say that and we're like, okay,
Yep.
at least for most people it's
But
working.
it rejuvenates us. It rejuvenates us because like people ask us questions and we love answering questions, but sometimes it's like you're answering the question, but they're not listening to it, right? They hear it, but they didn't hear it,
Yeah.
you know. So
Like in one ear, out the other.
that's right. That's right.
It's like my kids.
Yeah, that's okay. You can say that.
Just
I
don't,
mean,
let,
it
them,
is.
just don't let them listen to this podcast.
Exactly. I mean, she's only 4.
Yeah, come on. And so really, we're talking about posture, but really, you're going to be able to help your children, like
Yeah.
Getting adjusted and all the things that pertain to what we do here. But also, as a mother, like, hey, like don't sit up super straight, but like make sure you sit tall, make sure you stand tall, make sure you're taking breaks, make sure you're not looking downwards all the time, and like your kids will get sick of you telling it because I tell it to my boys all the time, and I'm like, hey, I'm not trying to be mean, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but like you gotta take a break every 25 to 30 minutes, especially we're on fall break,
Yeah.
so like they should be able to do the stuff that they want to do. They put in a lot of hard work for this first quarter. They really did.
Yeah.
And it's like I just want to chill. So like you have to kind of take a step back, but also, they have to know the importance of self-regulating, right?
Yeah.
Now a 4-year-old, that's a little different than 11
It
and
is.
13-year-old, but
It
like
is.
the self-regulation, it's
We're-
only for adults too.
Yeah. Where I come in to play with her, like tablets, screen time.
Sure.
She's always sitting there and she's
Yeah.
friggin' glued to her tablet.
Yeah.
So we've started to set those screen time limits because I'm sick of her just
Yeah.
looking down all the time. I mean, not to mention you can say her name while she's on the tablet and she's like,
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
she's not
Yeah.
hearing you.
Yeah.
So we kind of cut things for that, but at the same time, it's like, girl,
Yeah.
sit
Yeah.
up. But we also started her in dance, and I think that kind of helps with her
Oh, yeah.
her posture and everything too,
Definitely.
because without me having to nag her about it, she's learning through a teacher.
And some of the stuff that we're kind of putting out right now is the power of the adjustment at such an early age, helping transition the spine or that looking down period into a healthier, fuller spine. So that's all.
Yeah. And we used to just strictly, I would say, use that cervical traction for adults.
Yeah.
But over the last few years, we've had younger children on there. Once if we see that forward head posture, we have them on that cervical traction. And it makes sense because, from now, like you said, from now, from little 2-3 years old,
Yeah,
Like,
I
get
didn't
used
get
to
a
that
phone
posture.
until I was in
Yeah.
middle school, almost high school, and here she is with a tablet, always looking down at it, trying to.
But that's such a great option to get them into dance, tell them about, working on posture through not only exercise, but also proper instructions, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
So having young children, and we're in the Halloween season, what is your plan for Halloween?
Well, we've done a lot of trunk or treats,
Yes.
especially this one that you
Yeah.
guys host.
Yeah, dance party.
Yes.
Party.
They loved it.
Yeah.
They loved the princesses this year.
They were fantastic.
They
They were great.
They really were.
Yeah, when they broke out into the song,
That's what.
just everybody flocked over there.
Yes, my daughter
near
was
the bubble
glued.
machine.
She was like, oh, can I? wouldn't go up and say hi to them until they started singing, and then she's glued. So we've done a couple trunk or treats at the school here, and then maybe the neighborhood. There is another trunk or treat that's being hosted on Halloween, and I'm thinking those are almost kind of easier to do than.
Yeah.
It's a lot different now, yeah.
It
It's
is.
like all about the trunk or treats, it seems like.
And the kids don't want to go knock on the doors anymore.
Yeah,
They get
And-
nervous to knock on them, so I'm
Yeah,
like, well,
We have we go to my brother's, Andrew's house, and it's a huge neighborhood, and it's all connected, and everybody's out doing it. But
yeah,
I can imagine like going back where I grew up, and like the houses aren't nearly so close, and but yeah, I can see where people there'd be trepidation, like, hey, you know, maybe we just do one more trick or treat and not go out Halloween night.
yeah, yeah. We're trying
It's
to.
supposed to be cold, right? Cold and rainy.
It's not as cold as last year. I think the high for the day is 61.
just colder
So-
than like yesterday and today where it's 85
Yeah.
degrees.
Yeah.
Last year though, I think each kid had 2 pairs of pants on under their costume, 2 shirts, gloves, hats.
Yeah.
Some windy endeavors.
Yes. Last year we were all bundled up. This year I do think it is supposed to rain. I think it's a 40% chance right now, so we'll see what happens.
Okay.
But
Do you have anything to add, Dr. Brad? Because I think we've asked her everything and anything. Do you have anything that you'd like to add?
no, just that I'd like to say thank you for changing my view on the chiropractic care, because
Yeah.
none of this was what I had expected when I walked into this building a year ago.
That's what we want to hear. We want to be able to help people with chiropractic, but also change it, because as soon as we start that topple effect, that like snowball, and it's like more and more people understand exactly what we do and why what we do is so important.
Yeah,
And it's so different than everything else.
yeah, absolutely.
Dr. Brad, you got anything?
That's everything. Yeah,
Okay.
I like it.
All right, so for myself, Dr. Brad, and Alex, thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions or comments, please email me at drmatt@mfwellness.org. Thank you.